everybody, welcome to another industry night with me, your host, Nycci Nellis. If you're new here, hi, thanks so much for joining us. And if you're old here, hi, just hang out for a couple minutes while I introduce everybody to who I am and what I do. So I've been covering the DC food, wine, and hospitality scene for the last 20 years. I know I don't look that old, but I am. And if you're listening, I am really not that old, but if you're watching, you can see and know exactly what's happening. So anyway, it all started with the listareyoonit.com, the online e-zine that goes out to 40,000 subscribers and talks about every food and wine happening in the DC metro area. Of course, you tune in every Sunday at 11 a.m. on 1500 to Foodie And the Beast, the DC area's only food and wine variety show. And you follow me at NYCCINELLIS on all of the platforms, especially Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm not really on TikTok and I cannot stand Facebook. But of course, with this show, we are now on YouTube as well. So lots of ways to interact with me. And I'm very excited because it is a gorgeous day in DC. Patio weather is back and I hope it stays. And I could not be doing the residency this month at a better location because I am at Tony and Joe's right here at the bottom of Georgetown on the waterfront. Literally one of the best patios in the DC area. We are on the water. There are boats right out there. I got the Kennedy Center behind me. In a couple of weeks, you will see me paddleboarding on this water because I love it down here so much. But honestly, I think I said this last week, what you really want to do, this is a bit of a pro tip, you want to come down here, you want to get a table outside, you want to get some oysters because they have amazing oysters here, you want to get a bottle of rosé, and you want to sit and watch time go by. So you're welcome, but we still have a show to do. So I'm very excited. Greg is not here today, so I cannot talk with him about what I wanted to talk with him about, which is with spring coming, the seasonal shift of seafood. So if he gets here at the end of the show, we'll be able to dig into it. If not, everybody will have to wait till next time. But I really want to talk about who my guest is today. So Hugo Mogollon, he is the executive director of FreshFarm Markets. He's here in the DMV. Now, before launching the listareyoonit.com in 2003, I was already a FreshFarm supporter. I would take all my kids, all 5 of them, E and Tess were babies, Jason, Max, and Sam were all young. We would go down to Dupont Circle on a Sunday, and we would just go through the market. I mean, it was such a great family experience. And we would just leave with, bags of vegetables and fruits and fresh eggs. It was always so amazing. Not to mention we had that FaceTime with farmers and got to hear makers' stories. Once I joined the industry, I became really friendly with Bernie Prince and Ann Yonkers, who were the creators of FreshFarm Market. And in fact, they were one of the first guests on Foodie And the Beast. In fact, Ann Yonkers is sort of famous for her story of how she really wanted to make FreshFarm Markets happen. And it was that she had asparagus right out of the ground, and she had never had something right out of the ground before. And it was so mind-blowing to her that she just felt everybody had to have this experience. And here we are all these years later with over 20 markets, incredible outreach programs, SNAP programs, a grain program. We got a lot. I have so much to talk about. And I want to add one more thing, which I don't know if FreshFarm really applauds itself for, but a lot of makers and chefs get their start at the market. And they then are able to do R&D and work on their product, work on their restaurant, work on what they want to be and what they want to become, and wind up with brick and mortars or packaged goods later in life. I'm thinking of Call Your Mother, Timber Pizza, Gordy's Pickles, Red Apron. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I will say over the years, I also emceed their Farmland Feast. So I have a very special place in my heart for them. And before I get into Hugo, I do want to say, since we're talking about emceeing, I want to talk about where I've been. So I did tell you all about the Embassy Chef Challenge happening at Union Station. I emceed that event last week. Events DC puts it on. Over 25 embassies in the DC area participate. There is so much food, so much drink, gorgeous costumes, incredible entertainment, and the camaraderie of all the embassies there. I did the show at Cuba, but we had China there and Barbados and all these different countries, and they all got to be with one another. And it was just this incredible, incredible evening. And I'm always so grateful that they asked me to participate in such a way. Check out my Instagram to see some great photos, some great video, because it really was an incredible evening. I also stopped by Amy Brandweiss Centralina. Regarding Her is doing an entire month of events for Women's History Month. And they brought in Tiffany McIsaac, Amy Brandwine, obviously it's her restaurant. Ellen Yin of Philadelphia, she's going to be opening up a restaurant down here. She came in. Kimberly Prince from LA with her hot chicken, and Rochelle Cooper from A Duck and the Peach. Anyway, it was such an incredible group of women. They laid out such a terrific meal. And actually, Kimberly Prince didn't serve hot fried chicken. She instead did hot fried mushrooms. Oh my God, so good. I can still feel the tingle in my mouth. So anyway, you snoozed, you losed on that one, but there's so many great events happening around the DC area. Of course, you can check the list, areyouonit.com for that. I also judged a Pisco competition, because when you're me, that's kind of what you do. It was at Causa earlier this week. All these like amazing mixologists and bartenders in the area got some Pisco in their hands and made some incredible cocktails. And I just want to educate you. If you think Pisco is a Pisco sour, you are wrong. That is a drink with Pisco in it. Pisco is this distilled spirit. It's actually made like cognac. It is made from grapes, and it's really clean and delicious and really adds a subtle nuance to a cocktail when used correctly. So that was a lot of fun. And actually the drink that won was not the drink I picked, but it was a really interesting array of cocktails, and that was a terrific evening. So pay attention for those events, because they're really unique to DC. And then lastly, not food, but a little culture. I did hit the Star Power exhibit at the Portrait Gallery, because I'm a George Hurrell fan. I love those photos from the 20s and 30s, and you just don't see photography like that anymore. So if you have a chance to check it out, it's small. It's probably only like 40 pieces tops, but it's really beautiful, and it's something worth seeing, and it won't be there for long. Okay, so Greg is not here. He's out. I get to bring in Hugo, who has 20 years of experience working for nonprofit organizations. He is now at FreshFarm Market. And what's interesting is that he was at Community Food Works, which is now merged with FreshFarm Markets, thanks to him. And there's so many programs and there's so much happening. I'm not going to bore people with your whole bio. I would rather introduce you. Hi, Hugo.
Hi, Nikki.
Thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited about being here.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. So let's talk a little bit about your past, because you were not born in the States. So let's talk about where you were born and how you came here and what you came here for.
Yeah, so I am actually an Ecuadorian. I was born in Ecuador. I moved here at the end of 2011. Mm-hmm. And I got interested in world food when I was doing a master's on natural resources and sustainability at Virginia Tech. I have an incredible program there that introduced me to this amazing world food. And I got interested in food because it's such a powerful tool to create change. You want to work either in like social justice or climate change, sustainability, health. You can really work with food to achieve incredible goals in the community. And I was lucky that I was able to join Community Food Works around 2015. Mm-hmm. And
what was it?
So Community Food Works actually was an organization that was born at the Columbia Heights Farmers Market. Okay. So it was a group of people that wanted to create a place to bring community and create access to food. And that small organization grew into a few other markets because they were not just in Columbia Heights. They changed the name to Community Food Works. But it was an organization that had a very strong focus on community-based solutions and programs, right? So Columbia Heights is the most diverse and densest area in the city. Yeah. And there's like many communities, a lot of...
lots of cultures.
Exactly. Yes. So just having that confluence of cultures around the market make this organization to have a focus on community. Okay. And when I joined, it was this time where things just started happening. They have gotten a couple of grants from USDA, and then we just had this amazing group of people that had this entrepreneurial spirit. So we had we were a little startup, I like to say, and then that organization in just 3 years grew dramatically to the point that by 2019 we were able to come to Fresh Farm and explore this opportunity to merge.
Well, let me ask you a question about that. I mean, I want to get into the history of Fresh Farm. I mean, I touched on my history with Fresh Farm, but I'm sort of curious, were you competitors? Was it because maybe we should, let's do the history of Fresh Farm a little bit first, and how it went from the big Dupont market, which is still, a tourist attraction really on Sundays to this day. And that is a good thing, obviously. But because I feel like now every city has a market, right? They're like, this is the market you must go see, whether you're abroad or here. But let's talk about sort of the growth of Fresh Farm and what is happening with these other markets. Because I think this may be jumping ahead, but I think what people in real estate have realized and community building have realized that if you're looking to make a place seem or feel as if it's a part of a community, a farmer's market has to be a part of that build out. It is, do you know what I mean? I think about when Union Market opened or Pike and Rose opened. I think about all these the Wharf. I think about all these new communities. And people are like, yeah, we need a farmer's market here. So I'd love to talk about the growth of Fresh Farm and how it all dovetails together.
Yeah, sure. And obviously, I'm so proud to be part of Fresh Farm right now. I have to learn the incredible history of this organization because 26 years ago, Anna and Bernie created something that has become a landmark in the city. Right. And you were talking a little bit about the amount of businesses that have started there and how that changed, but also the amount of people that have gone through Fresh Farm and that now they work in the food system in the nation. It's that is the power of a farmer's market. Right. And so the courage and innovation that took Anne and Bernie to create that place at a point where local was not a thing, talking about local food, and when they actually had to face some challenges because people at that time were concerned that farmers would bring dirt into the city, that was not the place to have the market. So just encouraging people to be no, actually we want the farmers to come to the city. That's the hope. We're going to make sure that the food that grows around the area is purchased. You have access to that incredible product that otherwise you wouldn't. So learning about that was incredible, and obviously they were the ones that cemented this new space for farmers markets now in the city, which is an industry that has. Because we didn't have anything like it. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey. I didn't grow up going to farmers markets. We would go into New York City and there'd be open markets, but we had in the summer there'd be farm stands. Somebody would sell corn and tomatoes that they were growing in their backyard, but there was no farms. There was no farmers markets. So it was really sort of a new creation for the East Coast. Of course, and it's not just they have to compete in the city. They also had to talk with the farmers and telling them come to the city. We're going to create a marketplace for you that's going to be successful. And now you see the market what it is. But if you dig a little bit into history, even years into the process, the market stays small for several years. So that little parking lot, and now you see that it's almost 70 vendors coming to the farmers market. That's a lot of work, a lot of effort, investment that Fresh Farm has made to create that space, and from that going to different areas and creating this absolutely thriving group of markets that are creating. Last year it was $28.5 million for farmers and small businesses in the region. It's that's amazing. Really hard to find an organization that would create that kind of impact anywhere in the region. Well, and I think of the Penn Quarter Market, which was dubbed the chef's market when Penn Quarter was, really building up with all the restaurants, and Jose would go and all the chefs would join him and ring the bell. And I mean, there's several things about the experience of a farmer's market, which is we have the farmers, we have the consumer, but then there's this sort of commonality where everybody gets to talk to each other, and it's a real community building space. Absolutely. And if you go a little further in history when FreshFarm started working at H Street. And you know what? That was one of like the very first markets in the city to accept SNAP, which was also very innovative at the time because it was like a whole movement in the country to actually farmers markets would accept SNAP, and FreshFarm was right there, starting at the very beginning at H Street, having a program that would.
Well, could we talk about that a little bit, because there is sort of, and then we can get to where FreshFarm is today and all the programs, including the SNAP program. There is a little feeling out there that farmers markets can be only for people of means, because the product is more expensive. The farmer is picking it up out of its, patch of land and bringing it in and selling it to you. I mean, there are so many positives. The footprint, the carbon footprint is down, packaging, all those things that you would get in a grocery store. You're missing all the plastic, all that kind of stuff, but it is more expensive. And so I think there is some feeling out there that it's not attainable for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that what we need to think about, like what you're saying is right. It's like you need to think about the farmer. Like the farmers market exists because there's a space for the farmers, and we live in a world where there's like an industrial food system that's like full of subsidies that create this like false affordability in some areas, right? If you think that, even I've been working in food systems for so long, still for me to really hard to understand why an apple coming from Chile is cheaper than an apple coming from West Virginia.
Right.
And
the math is weird.
Exactly. So yes, product could be more expensive. Not always. I think it's like also like a matter of understanding when to buy, follow the season, so get the product when it's actually cheaper. But also the other thing is like product that you purchase at the farmer's market lasts longer. So sometimes you go to a grocery store and then you start seeing a little mold here and there because like things already have traveled for so long that it would last longer. So that is like the other thing. And this idea that farmers markets are, I'm going to say elitist, is not necessarily true. And we see that other farmers markets, actually Dupont Circle is the market that has the highest SNAP spending in our network.
Isn't that amazing?
And just like right behind Columbia Heights and like other food access programs. So
can you explain to people how SNAP is used at a farmer's market and what the SNAP, why was it so hard to get the SNAP program started? I don't know if people are really, if you're not on SNAP, then you don't really understand the technicalities of it and how it works. Yeah,
so SNAP is a federal program, and there's like always a lot of scrutiny how people spend their money.
Right.
And grocery stores have been able to get the system down so people would come and spend with like the card, and those are like institutions, right? So you have people coming and just like doing it at with your cashier.
Right.
And that's not how that would work at farmers markets, because you cannot go to at that time, you didn't have the system for farmers to accept your SNAP.
Right, and now with Venmo and Square, I mean, it's a new world,
and even now I think like SNAP still needs to catch up a little bit into the technology. But what happened is like at that time, in those years, the idea was to give the EBT machine that's now to the market operator, and so you become the point of sale, not the farmers. So you have to come to our Infotent to use your SNAP card, and then in that case, FreshFarm would receive the federal dollars, and then what we do is we give people tokens or vouchers that represent that money that will become real the moment they spend with the farmer, and then we do a reimbursement to the farmer. So it's like a system that took a lot of work and trust.
That's a lot of work.
So you could implement it,
sure, and
people could use SNAP. But at that time, in the year 2010, that was very innovative at the moment.
Okay, but it's still used today, right?
Yeah, of course. And now that FreshFarm and works in a network of farmers markets that all of us actually accept SNAP at our Infotents and allow people to spend those are SNAP dollars at the farmers, and then we incentivize the use of SNAP giving people a matching. So for every dollar they get out of their carts, they receive an extra dollar.
Oh.
So in that way, we help to get this like affordability down.
That's amazing. And that can be used at any of the vendors at the market.
Well, for like SNAP eligible, your SNAP dollars and our matching dollars go to fruits and vegetables.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so as the market has grown, you have how many markets now?
We have right now 22 farmers markets.
Okay, 22
Yeah,
How many are year round?
10.
10 are year round. Wow.
10 year round. So we are right now the third largest network of farmers markets in the country.
That is incredible. And how did it go from farmers, like how do you find those farmers? Curation. How do we go about finding the farmers, making sure you have enough, selling enough of a certain thing, but not too many, so the competition is good, but not too good? And then how do you go about curating the makers and the people who are serving the other things? Like how do you find that balance at the market?
Yeah, I think that has come with experience, right?
Okay.
Because one of the things here as a society is like we value also abundance. So you want to come to a market where you have a lot of offer.
You don't want to just see like a cucumber on a table.
And also you don't want to see just like one farmer or like a few things, right? It's like you need to find that balance where you have enough offer, but also it's not like that you're spreading really thin the amount of like customers that come to the market. Because a little chicken and the egg, but what we know is that we were able to put together a farmers market with a basic offer that includes the farmers, bakers, some ranchers, meat vendors, and you want to have somebody that would offer like maybe a breakfast idea or like a brunch,
right?
And then as we see, the good thing about FreshFarm is we collect data, we collect sales data, so we know when there's a moment to add somebody else because maybe somebody's selling out too quick.
Okay,
so we need to add another offer, or is a moment to add a new farmer because now we have a certain amount of people that could sustain a third farmer. And normally what happens is like when we expand the market, it has an effect that would bring more people.
Sure.
So it's about like timing, but that comes with like a level of experience. FreshFarm has been doing this for 26 years.
Sure.
And so understanding what's the right moment, I think is key there.
Well, but when it goes to reaching the farmers, how is that relationship handled? Because not every farmer plans on the FaceTime with the consumer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do you help the farmers? Because you have multiple clients here, right?
Yes.
The people who come to the market, and the people who come to sell at market, and the people who come to buy at market. So how do you help the farmers and give them guidance, mentorship, whatever it is?
Yeah. So farmers. By nature, they want to sell their product and they want to engage with people. So we have a network, 110 farmers and ranchers, and there's like around 150 food businesses. And with some of these farmers, like literally we have like decades of partnership.
Sure.
And then we were able to bring new farmers as our network expands. And when they engage with us, there are two ways. They apply to a market. Obviously, we always have like very few spots open depending what's the need.
Right.
And then based on that, we have a list where we are able to talk with the farmer, understand, like what actually are you selling, where are you located, because farmers in Virginia will have things earlier than farmers in Pennsylvania or so.
Sure.
When all that comes on account to engage the farmer, and then based on that, we're able to tell people, this is what is expected of the market. This is like the etiquette to engage with people.
Sure.
If you send somebody, make sure it's not on the phone all the time because like face-to-face is important for something like that. And during the years, FreshFarm also offer different ways of technical assistance to help the farmers. Like right now, we just got a new grant from USDA to work on that part to understand what the farmers need, how we can train them those needs and make them more effective at the farmers market. Because what you said is we need to. FreshFarm is like uniquely positioned to think about the producers and the consumers at the same time. So anything we do have to be with interest on both sides of the food system. With
real intention,
yes.
Right? And so you guys also have a lot of programs that have been instituted over the years, whether it's outreach to the farmer side or reaching out to communities who maybe wouldn't be coming to a farmer's market to begin with. Can we talk about the pop-up food hub?
Of course.
Okay.
So, one of the things that changed with the merger is that the way that we saw the farmers markets changed a little bit. Because the original idea of like Fresh Farm was to increase the consumption of agricultural products in the region. That was the motive that Anna and Bernie had behind their markets. And Community Food Works had this, as I told you, more like a community-based approach, right? It's like, what can we do so people come to the markets and feel like welcome?
A part of the community.
Part of the community.
Sure.
And that's one. And the other is like, what can the market do to expand the impact beyond the hours that the market was there? And so when we got together and you start seeing that, the food system has these problems that cannot be approached individually. And having everything in-house, we have the farmers markets, we have a distribution program, we have the education program, how this complemented so we could have programs like the pop-up food hub, which means the farmers are coming to the city and we see farmers markets as a natural points of aggregation. Because if you think about a food hub, farmers come and drop their food there, you have a warehouse, and then from there you do distribution to different clients. But what happens if you don't have a warehouse? What happens in an urban area like DC where real estate is so expensive that we cannot build a warehouse here? But we have this infrastructure that farmers markets create, which is temporary but also very effective and strong. So having dozens of farmers coming to the city, some of them several times a week, some of them many times even one day, how we can take advantage of that trip to put more product in their trucks. And then that product could be aggregated at the farmers market, disaggregated in orders and going to different clients.
Interesting.
And that model, which started like basically with no infrastructure, and now we have this like a low infrastructure model, is designed to serve an urban area like DC. So in that way, the risk is low because since we don't have a warehouse, we need to basically order what we're gonna distribute that day.
Where is the distribution going?
So the clients are majority community-based institutions. So childcare centers, clinics, food pantries, churches.
So now, is this product that is either that is gleaned, or unsellable, or you're buying it? We
pay the farmer top price for their food.
Wow.
So that is the way we want to operate. As I told you, we need to think about the farmer, and because we believe that this area of food access is good business for the farmers. And there is actually an interest in institutions to provide fresh and local to their clients. Sometimes there are a few barriers, like it could be they don't know how to reach out to the farmer, or they have like a small grant to buy food for, let's say, like a senior center. So we would come and ask and work with them to be like, so how many seniors you have? How many weeks do you want a distribution? What kind of distribution do you need? And based on that, we design a program that would serve that kind of institution. So we really tailor the program for the need of the institution and help them to be more effective.
It sounds like an entire business on top of the Fresh Farm Market business. It sounds like an entire, I know you already have the network, but it just sounds like a whole other business. And
exactly, and that's the way we expand the impact of the farmers market beyond the 6 hours that the market is there. Right? Now this product would go somewhere else.
Because they're already coming. So they're already there. Right, God, that makes so much sense.
So last year we worked with around 70 institutions. We sold from the Pop-Up Food Hub around $600,000 in food, which is like extra revenue for farmers. So for a farmer that comes to a farmer's market, and on top of whatever you sell to direct to consumer, we are adding this extra layer of revenue. So the trip becomes profitable like in two ways. Now, the other thing is like we are able to use this as an incentive for farmers to go to areas where they would normally wouldn't like to go. So in areas where we know that it's an area that is the farmer would receive a lot of incentives or vouchers. There's not a lot of purchasing power in the community. we are able to tell the farmer, like,
It's worth it.
We understand these markets not necessarily where you're expecting to sell. However, before you come to the city, we have already, made X amount of money. Then it becomes an incredible incentive. So it's a way to create food access, to bring farmers to the city, and to expand the revenue for farmers.
Well, and that makes sense, because I think one of the biggest issues for a long time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, for farmers was they were only here for those 6 hours, and the transportation of going back and forth, they just didn't have it. So there was lots of product that would not get used or not get sold because they just didn't have the places to get it, right?
Yes.
So that sort of takes care of that issue.
Yeah, and for some farmers, they also would like to expand their business to do wholesale. And that is also like something that for farmers is hard, because they need to go to find the client.
Sure.
And some farmers have been working with the pop-up we have for several years. At the beginning, we were the only client they had, right? But now we are the smallest client they have. Actually, we help farmers to unlock that potential of wholesaling, because we don't ask them for like minimum orders. We don't ask them for like pricing sheets, and there's like a way to learn how to work wholesales before going to work with other institutions.
Well, but I also, no different than raising up young entrepreneurs who come to market, like, Call Your Mother or Gordy's Pickles or anything like that. You're also giving them the footprint of how to grow their business, right? Because it's actually, to me, it's kind of two-pronged. With the advent of farmers markets as a national trend, because DC is not the only one that has like amazing farmers markets. I mean, the West Coast has always sort of had more, given, their climate, or what used to be their climate. But now it's nationally, you'd be hard pressed to go anywhere and there not be an amazing farmers market somewhere, the use of farmers. But big grocery stores has seen that trend as well and said, oh, well, we need a section that's local. So it allows it has given the farmers more platforms. Yes. Right?
Exactly. So I think that's the way, how to be innovative, how to expand the business of the farmer is the whole idea here.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about, with farmers markets, like some help for people, because understanding sustainability, because sometimes you go to farmers markets, they give you plastic bags. I'm like, no, I don't want a plastic bag. Mm-hmm. How does a market run so it is as little waste as possible and sort of leans into the sustainability? And what are FreshFarm Markets sort of bars on sustainability? Do we care about organic? Is it local? Like, because I know getting that organic moniker costs a lot of money. They don't all have that money. So what are the limitations that you put in place to keep the market a certain way, and what is important to FreshFarm Market at this time?
Yeah, so FreshFarm is producers only network farmers market. So we are working with farmers around 150 miles around the area of Seattle. That alone just reduces the footprint of where your food is coming from. Right. That's one thing. And as you said, we try to understand what are the barriers for farmers to either get certifications in many ways, but at the same time, we are sure to work with them to understand what are their producing practices. Sure. Then it has to be more sustainable. We need to make sure that they are not using lots of pesticides. All those things are assessed the moment we accept the farmers at the market. So when you come to a market, it's like a complete different world at what you get at the grocery store. For that's important. The other thing is that these short supply chain, right? It was you are getting your food directly from farmer. That also helps for to create a resilient food system. If you think what happened during the pandemic, where it was impossible for grocery stores to get food, and
so there was a complete and total supply chain breakdown, right?
Yeah, of course. And even after the pandemic, we'd see that happening with a few products. We saw the whole drama around eggs, and if something happens in California,
are you kidding? We couldn't get bucatini. Exactly. It was so strange. I was like, who's eating all the bucatini? It's so weird.
Absolutely. So that is the way that we as consumers can help to make our local food system stronger.
Right.
Like you go to the farmer's market and then you get food from producers. It's true what I'm saying about the plastic bags. That also has to come, you need to understand what are the pressures that farmers have to sell. So maybe like getting other kind of bags is like too expensive for them.
Too expensive.
But, you know, what we know is also that consumers are more conscious, and we all bring our bags to the farmer's market.
Right.
And help the farmers, not to use those plastic bags. So that's what I think I love about farmers markets, that you can create your own experience there, right? Like where do you get your food, how you approach sustainability, how you think about a resilient food system, and how you help your farmer in the way. All that comes with your experience at farmers markets.
And let's talk a little bit about CSAs, because you do have a CSA program.
Yes.
Which would seem to me like, again, as an outsider, like competition, like you're competing with yourself. So what is the CSA program from Fresh Farm, and how do you guys use it?
So we don't see it necessarily as a competition. We see it as a way to expand the footprint of our farmers. Many farmers in our network have their own CSA, and like there are people that like coming to the market and
so for those who don't know, can you explain how a CSA works?
Okay, so a CSA is a program where
community supported agriculture, right?
So these CSAs started as a way for farmers to get an influx of cash at the beginning of the season, so they could
do everything,
get their inputs to go through the production.
Sure.
Right. So the farmer would come to you. Is gonna tell you, I'm gonna sell you the future of my production.
Right.
And for a next amount of money a month, you receive, for this amount of money for the season, let's say $500 for the season, you'll get a box of fruits and vegetables for the whole year. So you don't have to think about that anymore. I'll create it for you based on the seasonality, and in that way, the farmers would get the money and they go through the season in a way that's more sustainable, and security. So that is like many other farmers markets have that offer, and that for some people is better than going to the farmers market, visit several farmers and get their own products. Just coming to maybe they don't have time, they prefer that. Right. They come to the market, they get their box, and they leave. For Fresh Farm, actually, we have what is called the market share, because we do it aggregating the product from different farmers, right? And those are farmers first that don't have necessarily the CSA offer, but also that is part of our pop-up food hub. Okay. So additionally to the orders we place for the institutions, we place orders for our own program, and we offer this bag that has two sizes, family and individual. Right. And your subscription is actually different because you pay week to week. Oh, okay. So you come as the convenience of paying week to week. You can skip your week if you are going on vacation.
Because sometimes you get like a lot of zucchini, and you're like, I got a lot of zucchini. What am I going to do with all this zucchini?
Exactly. So some people like going through that, and we try to make a bag that's being more like curated with the season. Okay. And people love it, right? Yes. And also the flexibility, because if sometimes you are skipping the week, you don't have a fee, you can skip it as many ways you want, you can come back. And we help the farmers to expand their footprint. Additionally to that, you have the opportunity to pay extra for your social impact, and that extra money goes to these like subsidized bags that we offer for people that paid with SNAP. Oh. They are subsidized by that 75%.
So it's like buy a bag, give a bag kind of thing?
It's not necessarily a bag, but it's like a portion on a bag.
Sure.
So additionally to that, you can make your social impact and help Fresh Farm to reach out to residents that can get a CSA with their SNAP dollars.
Now, Fresh Farm used to have other programs to help maybe some of their patrons who weren't familiar with the products that they were receiving. There were cooking demos. There were a lot of work with schools and things like that. Is that stuff post-pandemic that Fresh Farm is still doing?
Of course, yes. Okay. And our Footprints program has been out for 17 years. Right. And now they started at one school at Capitol Hill, and now we are in 21 schools, and around 7,600 children get nutrition education with our program.
That's amazing.
Which, we think that is the way to approach a problem like consumption, is like how you can plant these seeds as early as possible to transform the experience, the relationship with food in a way that people are like, children are like touching that food. They are planting, they are growing, they are harvesting, they are cooking, they are learning about it, and then they're taking
kids are going to eat food that they grow.
Exactly.
Right? Because
really
they've committed to it, so they really have a different experience.
Yeah, so it's a very powerful program. It's also, as many things that Fresh Farm do, is like very innovative because we actually place a Fresh Farm staff as a teacher at the school, so we have capacity to the school, and then we are we help the school to maintain the garden, to create the classroom, the kitchen classroom, and to run the programming. So it's incredibly powerful. Just recently, there was a study from GW that showed they went to talk to students that had footprints that were young and then they are adults. That actually that's a lasting impact that has taken with them through their whole lives.
Amazing?
Yeah,
that's incredible. Well, I mean, because you're really touching them in ways that maybe they don't have that access, and also they're coming home with it. Do you know what I mean? So it's changing. It's not just changing one person. It's changing. It's changing lots of people.
Yeah, and also we know
it's viral. I guess that's what I'm looking for.
We know the influence that our children have in our families, right? So
right.
if somebody your kid is asking you to buy fresh fruits and vegetables, probably you're gonna have to do it.
Of course.
In some way. So
how can you say no?
See that, yeah.
All right, I want to talk about the Common Grain Alliance because this seems like the next level for Fresh Farm Market, and I'm gonna, if you're watching. If you're listening, then you can't see all the yummies. But they brought me a bag, and it looks amazing, and there's all this stuff in here. But can you tell me about the Alliance while I take this stuff out?
Yeah, so this is a program that's been happening for a couple of years now, and it's a collaboration with the Common Grain Alliance, which is an organization that works with grain farmers and mills and bakers and all these like grain artisans that create these amazing products. And if you think about grain farmers in general, it's like a very mechanized kind of farming.
Sure.
So it's really hard for them to come to the market themselves and sell to people. So with the Common Grain Alliance, we have our grain stand. So basically, we're aggregating all these products from different grain and farmers and mills, and then we're offering these grains and other pantry items,
sure,
so people could take them to home.
Well, what's interesting is that you have cornmeal,
yes,
and popcorn. You're not already popped, you know, so ready to pop popcorn, which honestly makes sense because we think of corn at market and what they do with the corn afterwards. It never even occurred to me, so that makes so much sense. But this is brown rice. I don't think people think about brown rice being grown in this region. Yeah,
and then you have the opportunity to just get something that was grown literally around your region and bring it to your kitchen. And I think what I can tell you is the moment you start tasting the difference, you just want to keep going through that. You go to the grocery store,
the rice is so old sometimes.
Yes.
You can smell it when you open up a bag of rice. I mean, I'm not putting it down because I still use it, but yes, there is a difference when you really don't know how old even the pantry goods are that you're using, whether it's flour or grain or beans.
And the flour's bleach, so you bake something, you can taste the difference. It's incredible. It's fresh. It's just coming from down the road. And then we have our grain stand at our 4 largest markets. We have at Dupont Circle, Mosaic, Arlington, and Silver Spring. And you just can come and just
try all the different products. And then do the producers come to market and share their stories?
Actually, the Common Grain Alliance is in charge of that outreach. It's they are organized behind this organization.
Okay.
And which is incredible. I know that they are doing all these different programs where they are teaching people how to bake or because they have different flours, and you also have to learn how to create.
They're not all used the same way, right?
Exactly. So they'll be different. So coming there and learning about that is it's very powerful. We love that partnership is very new and is incredibly important. And probably that's the way that we like to think about Fresh Farm. Is like we touch different partners at different levels of the food system, and this is like an example of something powerful that Fresh Farm can do.
I love it. Okay, what's next for Fresh Farm?
What's next? So we just approved our new strategic plan for the next 5 years, and I got one in your bag.
Yes.
It's like very nice.
Beautiful collateral.
Yeah, thanks. And so it's the first plan. It took us more than a year to put it together.
Okay.
After the merger.
Well, it's a 5-year plan. That's going to take some time.
And after the merger and with the pandemic in the middle, we actually created this plan that came from the bottom up. It's the first time we involved all our staff, and we created this plan that's thinking about what is next for Fresh Farm in the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We see ourselves now as a food systems organization. And as I told you, the fact that we have the farmers in our network and we have to think about the producers and the consumers, that makes Fresh Farm unique in the region. So thinking how we can affect change at the production with the revenue we create and training TA for the farmers, how we can affect distribution, thinking about a model that's unique, that is decentralized, low infrastructure, and how we can reach different clients, how we work in the consumption through education, creating the different experience for people.
Right.
And then how we work on the food recovery part, right? We have more than a dozen of partners that come to our markets to do food recovery at the end of the market.
Well, that's like food rescue.
Exactly.
Right.
Central Kitchen. We have like several partners that come and get this product so it wouldn't go to the landfill.
Right.
So across the food system, Fresh Farm has changed, and for each one of these areas, we have very ambitious goals that are reflected in our strategic plan.
So exciting. I can't tell you how appreciative I am of your time. I can't believe the hour's up already. It's been, so it goes fast. But it's been great talking to you, and I hope you'll come back and we can talk about, how this 5-year plan is being executed and how it's working and what people can look forward to, and also what they get out of it. There's so much more. We barely scratched the surface.
Absolutely. And, first I was very happy when you told me that you've been a long time friend of Fresh Farm. That helped me to relax and have a very nice conversation with you. But also, there's like a lot of exciting things that are happening. And, based on the fact that you are interested in the restaurant industry, we're exploring ways to actually help restaurants to access to this food that's coming to the city anyways and this week. So I think there's like a lot of exciting things that are happening in the future.
Well, I cannot wait to discuss
Thank you so much.
Tell everybody where they can find you, either online or on Instagram. What's the best ways to stay in touch with what Fresh Farm is doing?
You can follow Fresh Farm on Instagram, Fresh Farm DC. We're on the majority of platforms under that name. Our website is freshfarm.org, and you can go there. Actually, your incredible communications team just did a very beautiful retouch on our website that I love. You can come and see it, and you can find out the information there. And obviously at our farmers markets, spring's coming, and we're excited that the markets are going to come back too.
Can't wait. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for tuning in today. I'm Nycci Nellis. Follow me at NYCCINELLIS for everything you heard here and so much more. Spring isn't coming. If you're looking outside, spring is here, and we are going to enjoy all of it. So be safe out there and have a delicious week.
Produced by Heartcast Media.